processes. You know it's in you. You know you want to dance when you hear this.
Oh yeah. Let's get it.
That was custom made by Alman Deliman. Thank you, brother. He sent that to me. Custom made. So I'm in the process of copywriting it, you know. Yeah, after that anybody can have it. This is the anthem. That's the new anthem. We're gonna change the anthem. This is the new American anthem. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Real talk.
So we got.
Real talk.
Can you guys hear me good? The music's not too loud.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So we got a good show coming right now. I mean, we're gonna try to freestyle as much as we can because we're live. It would have took me too long to edit this and get it. I just want to get it out here, and I got some good people on with me to help me, give their opinions and stuff. So I wanted to start out with this video that I was gonna upload as a whole presentation like I normally do, but then I was like, you know what? I want to bring this out now, and just some other things that I was waiting to bring out from a long time ago. It's just, I think there's something that we have to address. I think that, I don't know, I'm tired of repeating things, and I try to talk with the information. I try to prove things with the information. I never said I'm gonna go in there, give my opinion, and just talk for 2 hours on a video and not show any sources, and just, act like you're teaching, and when you're just really just entertaining. You're not really informing, you're not showing any sources, and you're just really at the end of it, you're just giving opinion. So I hope that by now people see that I'm trying to show you that this history is real. We're looking at primary sources. We're looking at things from those times. There's no way to erase what they were saying. You can't say it's pseudo just because it doesn't agree with your doctrine, So we're here to, it's scalping season for real. So we're here to dodge all the hijacks today. And you know what? Yeah, I'm light skinned. And yeah, you guys got to get over that because, I'm about to show you something today. And so you're going to have to, I hope after today, everybody still does, tries their genealogy and not get confused when they see something that they think is not them. Because there's a whole lot of mix-up. There's a whole lot of mix-up, and we're assuming that certain things are certain things when they're not. For example, we're assuming that any European that came was white. So if you see European in your ancestry, you're assuming it's a white person, and it wasn't always that way. And I'm going to show you that. I mean, I've already shown you that. I've shown you Opimiha's census, his ancestors, Kiowas, Wanagis. They went from white to black. All right, same person was classified from white to black in 10 years. All right, mulatto to black, mulatto to white, mulatto to Indian to black, on the death certificate, or Negro. So, there's a lot of, uncomfortable truths, but I feel like you should embrace it, then run away from it, because then you might learn some deep history about yourself. And I think that we got to stop generalizing, because that's what they did. They generalized, like they grabbed all the dark-skinned people and they say, oh, just call them Negroes. And they grabbed all the light-skinned Europeans, just call them white. But it wasn't always about color, because again, Europeans were also dark-skinned and melanated. Thousands of them came over here. All right, and that was the real Middle Passage. So if you're talking about so-called Negroes being brought over here to replace the so-called Indian, the Aboriginals, then it's something you got to reconsider here, because the history is telling us that it was indentured European servants that were coming over here, not Africans. All right, and if those Europeans are in your, genealogy, there's something for you to look at. Now you can, be right. They might be white, but they might not be. So what I say is, let's do this case by case, individual. Don't generalize. Do your own genealogy. All right, and stop basing appearances conclusions based on somebody's appearance or physical, their complexion or anything. Because as you can see from this image that we're showing, those are twins right there. A couple generations, let's say her side, she keeps marrying you know, pale-skinned people for the next 3-4 generations, their family, you'd forget you'd come from a so-called Negro person, right? You'd have a little, maybe little hair, maybe not, maybe little, maybe not, curly hair, maybe not. And so, you know, and you know, I'm just telling you, broaden your horizons. Don't skip over ancestors. That's wrong. Don't skip over. Don't get confused. You know, it wasn't always a slave master. These people had children with their servants. All right, that was history. So I want to start out with this great video. Her name is Anoki the One. Great person. She left me a comment on YouTube, and she said, you know, she watched my white slavery video, and she said, you know, my ancestors were Negro and they had slaves too. And I was like, I know, great. So I responded to her and I was like, can you please share that with me? I would love for everybody to know that and see that, you know. And I invite all of you to reach out to me if you find something in your history you'd like to share with everybody that's gonna help the overall, you know. So make sure, if you know, contact me. I'll put my email in the chat right now. If you have any story like that and we can get this out there, we can even help you get it all sorted out, because there's a lot of confusion in these genealogical records too. All right, and I'm not denying that it is hard, but you got to keep going at it, because they purposely did this. They purposely didn't want you to know who you were. They purposely are hiding certain people. They're purposely hiding their complexion, because they want you to assume that they're a certain type. All right, so this is all I wanted to say. And this person, so I did a conference with her yesterday, and I was recording the Zoom conference with her, and she actually did a whole, go ahead. Oh, she did a whole presentation. I was surprised. She did a whole little PowerPoint in the beginning, and I think you guys will like it. Very historical, and then we're gonna get into some good stuff. I'll be pausing it in between, because there's some things that we're gonna address in that video. That's what we're gonna start out with. But first, I have some images here. I wanted to play a game with you guys. All right, so I'm gonna show that right now. All right. All right, let me know if you can see the screen. All right. You guys see the screen? Panel? Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
all right. Okay, so
yeah.
I wanted to play. I want to see if people can guess these people's nationality. All right. So we got this first image here of this lady and this man right here. Let's start with the lady on the left. Can anybody guess her nationality, where she's from? Anybody in the chat?
Last. I can't get it. I can't. Cause I would assume.
Hey, unmute. Hey, JC, sorry, I muted you by mistake. Unmute. It won't let me unmute. Okay, here we go. Can you unmute, JC? There we go.
Yeah.
There you go. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm assuming just by looking at the woman's features, because I can't tell by looking at the photo. It's not very clear, but I would say she looks like a white woman.
Okay, the one on the left, you're saying?
The one on the left from Mandela.
Oh, okay. Well, so you just gave a hint to her, but I don't know if everybody knew that was Mandela. All right, so a lot of people said India, Tibet, Peru, El Salvador. We got Nepal, we got Japan, Irish. Any more? Kalinaga, Garifuna. Okay. I think that was probably the closest one so far. Well, Peru, Cuba, Filipino, Central America. Okay. All right, you guys ready? All right, so this is Rebecca Robinson. She is Haliwa Saponi, 100% Aboriginal. All right. Her genealogy is done. There's no Mongolian, anything like that. The person on her right, like JC said, that's Mandela. Now look at their features. Right? All right. So Mandela, if people don't know, he has blood of the San or Khoisan people. And we're gonna show you who they are. All right. Now we got this image next. All right, let's name them. So let's start with the one. Let's start with the one on the right, the dark complexion one. What do we have? What do you say, JC?
The one on the right, I would say she looks more, I would say, Indian to North American Indian.
Okay, so India first, like Hindu?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm looking at her clothing. Based on her clothing, I'm seeing Central to North American Indian as well.
Okay. All right, so in the chat we got Navajo, Cherokee, North African, Seminole, Apache. All right, so Carla Hernandez knows what she's talking about. She is an Apache. That's an Apache, and there's no way you're gonna tell me that this person today wouldn't be classified as a Negro or Black or African American. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you say just because she's Apache, she's a Mongol. And there's people in our community, leaders in our community, that would say in a public forum that all the Apaches are Mongols. And I see the chat cheering them on. Same people are supposed to be in the same community right now.
And that's a total lie. That's a total lie for them to even say that. They can't even prove that.
Yeah. So Apache, right? This is not a Mongol. And you know, you have to correct yourself if you're watching right now. And everybody knows probably who I'm talking about. So you watching right now, you got to be held accountable for everything you say. From now on, if you're gonna say somebody's a Mongol, please show us their genealogy. All right. So what do you think about the person on the left?
Yeah, the person on the left. You know what? I mean, when you look at the person on the left's clothing and what they're wearing, they look tribal. But when I look at the features and their complexion, I feel like I'm looking at a person from Eurasia, some type of Eurasian individual.
Or African. I'm gonna say she's an African.
Original Berber.
Yeah.
Okay.
Berber.
I can definitely go with a Berber.
Okay. Well, you know, you guys cheating because you guys are informed a lot. Right? But yes, this is a North African Berber. Now I want to tell you something. People are like, oh, they mixed. This was Europeans. No. The most oldest people in Africa, the Khoisan is one. There's another group in in the southern part of Africa, and then there's the Berbers of North Africa. They're indigenous, and they came from, a lot of them, the Libya, the Lud, Lib or Rebu, the Lebu. The Lebu, which the Egyptian called them, or Libya, Lebu, comes also from Rebu. Lebu came from Iberia, Georgia, near the Caucasus Mountain, and they settled in North Africa before any dark complexion person was there. These are the indigenous people of North Africa, the Berbers. Now, when you look up the original definition of Moor, you're gonna see it's talking about the Berbers. It had nothing to do with complexion yet at that time. That started in the Middle Ages. All right, so this is a great example for anybody out there who's still a Pan-African. We got any Pan-Africans in the house? I hope we do. I hope we got some Pan-Africans in the house. You know, because this is an American on the right, not African, and then we got a real African, indigenous African on the left. All right, we're gonna go to the next.
Dropping that raw and uncut truth, brother Kurimeo, dropping that raw and uncut truth, indigenous truth.
I should have started the video because then everybody would have been assuming and judging the girl's genealogy based on the pictures that were popping up. But I wanted to do this, you know. So let's go to the next picture. Okay, so I would say, who's the Indian? The American Indian.
Of course, on the right. Look at that beautiful man. Look at that beautiful indigenous sister.
Anybody else? What do you guys think in the chat? What do you guys think? Which one is the Indian? All right, left is Hindustan. The one on the right. All right. So that was a trick question. these are both Africans. The one on the left is a Berber. The one on the right, she's from Nigeria. She's from that what is the name? They have straight hair.
Yeah, I can't think of that.
Her peoples have straight hair. A lot of them have way more straight hair than her. Some of them don't.
The one on the right?
The one on the right, she's from Nigeria. Indigenous person from Nigeria.
Oh, for real?
Yes.
You know what though? I ain't tripping off that though, cause we both know a whole lot of indigenous blood is over there in Africa.
Yep, I know.
Yeah, she's probably Tupi.
Most likely.
Real talk.
And
Real talk.
Kyo just threw a little subliminal there for a future video. You guys don't know what we got in store. We have been so much uninformed that, you know, the layers of lies, there's so many of them to uncover, and that's why we have this whole debating and confusion and misclassifying and people being prejudiced and people being racist without even understanding they're being racist. We're in a time where there's so many black supremacists too, not just white supremacists, you know. And you won't experience that maybe, but you know, I experienced both sides always, all my life. So, you know, it's like we got to stop the whole appearance thing. All right, we're gonna go to the next image. All right, person on the right. Who's the person on the right? Where's she from?
Oh,
where's he
an
from?
indigenous sister.
The one on the right?
Yeah, actually the one on the right. The one on the right looks more like an actual indigenous Californian Indian, like a Yucatan Indian. She looks more like a indigenous Californian Indian.
Which one? The one on the right?
The one on the left.
On the left. Okay.
On the left. The one on the right. Okay. The one on the right looked like somebody.
He looked like Yao Ming's uncle.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got Vietnamese. We got Vietnamese on the one on the right. We got Australian Aboriginal for the one on the left. We got
Australian.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the one on the left is from here, from California. Indigenous. That's an indigenous Californian sister.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So a lot of people saying Filipino. So what are we talking about? The one on the right, right? The one on the, they're saying Vietnam, Filipino. Some say looks Olmec. Japan. This is awesome. Chinese or Indonesia. Okay, this is awesome. Possibly a Negrito from the Malays, right? Right, Cambodian. We got Indian or Blackfoot. All right, somebody. The left could be Australian Aborigine. Says on the right we see Korean Indigenous. Okay. At least we're starting to broaden our horizons here. This is good. The left is Australian. All right, so I'm gonna break it down. So the one on the left is a Yosemite Aboriginal. She's from the Yosemite region. She's an Aboriginal from there. All right. Her people are very, very dark skinned. Her people are very dark skinned. All right. And they have, that's their hair. I mean, but you can't tell from that if it's straight or not. You know, just because she has it long, you can't tell if it's straight or not. Like what I'm saying, the texture. They're obviously strained out here, but I'm talking about the texture. And it might be, because like you said, Aboriginals from Australia, right? They have straight hair, right? But the one on the right, see, I did a little thing right there. This is actually from the, I believe, the Danka, or they're African. This is from the east of Africa. Let me see if I can. Kiowa, do you remember the tribe? The Dianka or something like that?
Nah, it's slipping my mind right now.
Okay.
Hold on, Dang. No, it wasn't Mandinka, was it?
It wasn't Dinka. It was something else. But I think it's very close to the Dinka.
Duka.
All right. But that's an African. I kind of tricked you guys. I put the Asian hat and the clothing, and you guys fell for it. Like straight up, you guys all fell for it. Because why? Tell me why it was easy for you guys to fall for it.
Because we all have preconceived biases that were imposed upon us.
Okay, now what I missed up? What did we fall for? Because the sister on the left looked like she's from California.
Not you. I'm talking about the chat said nobody gets the person on the right. Everybody said she was a Filipino, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Korean, all the Chinese names, all the Asian, sorry. I did it there. You see? I gotta dodge my own hijack. All the Asian nations. So that's an African from the east of Africa, very tribal. You can see the tribal marks on his face and everything. And the reason I did that, I was like, because look at his eyes. So I was like, this person could easily, with some long hair and an old picture and feathers, could be called a Mongol because of how the person looks with the Asian eyes.
He also look like a Hun. Those Asian Huns over there, the Huns over there that sits right there in Asian Minor right there. They settled right there in the colder regions. He looks just like them, like those people over there, those Huns.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So we see these black and white pictures from the past of tribal people, and they got long hair, and they might be standing to people who look more even Asian than them. But again, the tribe doesn't mean they didn't accept other people. But either way, just because you see a general thing, don't assume, right? You see features like Asian eyes, don't assume these are Mongols, because this is an African aborigine from from East Africa. All right, and I'm not gonna get to who I think who they really are. Most of the tribes, they didn't all originate in Africa. There's a reason why this guy looks Asian.
There's a reason why there's no original groups in the south of the Sahara.
All right. So again, for those of you who are listening right now, you probably are, I know you are, who's always talking about Mongols and white people and complexions and nationalities and Mexicans and Spanish and Latinos, you're doing the same thing the white man does and did to you and to your ancestors all these years. Why are you continuing to do the same thing? All right, you're a modern day black supremacist. All right, we're gonna continue. So we got this next image. Let's start with the ones on the lady on the left. Who's the lady on the left? What nationality is she from?
Oh, the sister. Come on, really?
Yes. On the left.
Berber.
Sister on the left. The sister on the left. Oh,
Yeah.
the sister on the right. We know the sister on the right.
Left.
Oh, she like a Berber.
Oh yeah.
But she like a Berber, or she straight look like a European, but I would say she's probably a Berber, or European, or Eurasian.
Are you sure? Final
No,
answer?
but just based on her. She look like a white person I would avoid.
He's an Akkadian.
I'm gonna say a Berber. African.
I'm gonna say he's a Huguenot.
Most people won't even know what you're talking about, Kiowa. All right. So let's see what the chat says. Iberian, Moroccan. Are you guys sure? Spanish, Polish, Irish, Polish. Wow, North African. Afghani. Okay. Okay, so I'll let you guys know. Once again, that's a Berber. All right, this is indigenous Africans. These are indigenous Africans. These are Berbers. All right, the ones on the right now. Let's see who gets the one on the right.
Come on, that's an indigenous sister from America. Both of them.
Final answer?
Hindu. It's a Hindu.
On the right. On the right.
From India.
That's indigenous blood, North American blood.
What does the chat say? They say Australian, Dominican, from Britain, East Indian, Slovak.
That young sister getting her hair braided. She remind me of my sister. She in pain. That's an indigenous sister.
We come from Zimbabwe.
We got Russian. We got Bangladesh. Not again. Mexico.
No, but she's not Bangladeshi.
No, that picture reminded me when I used to watch my sisters and I used to put the mirror in their face and stop crying. Look at yourself.
All right, so we got a lot. Sri Lanka, America.
Hey.
Wow. All right, so you guys ready? All right. So these people are from India, Hindustan.
You say India?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hindustan.
Yeah.
Hindustan.
It's not fair. It wasn't fair. It's not a colorized photo.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
She does look. She looks like one of us, man. Let's keep it 100.
Hey, man, who's the Nagas?
That's somebody's sister.
Real
All
talk.
I gotta say
Talk.
is, who's the Nagas? That's all I gotta say.
Who's the Naga?
She's the Apu. She's the one.
I see two Nagas right there.
All right, this one's gonna be good. Let's see who really gets these. All right, let's start with the one with the left. The one on the left. Who can tell me who's panel? Only JC.
South America.
Hey, panel.
Leaving it to the panel. I was gonna leave this one to the audience. Because I talk too much. But since you brought my name
you've
up,
been so far you've like what 20% right?
look, both of them look like they both of them look like they come from the same continent. They just next door neighbors. One's a light skinned African. The other one's a dark midnight. You can't see in the dark skin, dark at night African. Okay, so both of them are from the same place.
Okay. We do have some experts on the chat. I know the brother. Hey, peace out to Gisa Fal Cimarron. He's from Guadeloupe, has French connections and also a lot of deep ancestry, not just French, but he's born in Guadeloupe, indigenous around there, and also family from France, and he's been to Senegal. He has a lot of good history. I've been meeting with him. We got some good videos coming up. Hey, is the music too loud? Hold on. Right.
One more thing though. The sister on the left, on the right, she's a Bush.
Okay. What do you mean by Bush?
She's from Bush people. She's from the Bush people. I'm looking at the features. She looks like she's from the Bush. There's a group of people in Africa. They call it the Bush. They speak that language where it sounds like they popping their popping their tongue.
Yeah, the click tongue.
Yeah.
I'm saying she's a Bushman or Bushwoman.
Okay, so I think a lot of people had the time to. All right, so a lot of people gave a lot of answers. So the one on the left, I believe Jisal, he was right, is an Andaman Islander, an Aboriginal from Andaman Islands in the Southeast Asia. Right.
Wow.
Now, listen to what I'm about to tell you. And shout out to Copper Hotstep, Lacono Empire,
Big up.
DJ Gambler, all of them, and the Arawak community, man. Empress, Copper Empress, all these brothers, they did a live, they did a build, right? And they showed that the Andaman people, the haplogroup, the blood does not go to Africa. They're Asian.
What?
They don't originate in Africa. I'm going to show you the video. We're going to play that video today. So stay tuned.
So basically, you're saying there's a bloodline in Africa that literally positively is not African. So-called African.
No, she's not African or in Africa, bro. She's an Andaman Islander. She's in Southeast Asia.
Wow.
You know, where the Papua New Guinea and all those islands are over there.
Oh, Papua New Guinea, baby.
They got people over there that dark?
Yes, brother.
Wow. Did not know this. When you're educating me, keep feeding me.
That's what I'm saying, okay, and that's okay. I did the same, man. Like, what did they condition us to do to automatically assume, right? We see a dark-skinned person like that, right? We're like, oh, that's African. Nah, Kurimeo, I don't care if they're in Andaman Island. They came from Africa at some point. I don't care what you said, Kurimeo. Well, you know what? You haven't done no research. You haven't even studied these people's genealogy, haplogroups, their DNA, nothing like that. All right. I guess she's a Jarawa. Is that what you said, saying? But he's from the Andaman Island, the Jarawa people. All right.
Jarawa.
The one on the right.
Oh.
The one on the right. I think some people already guessed it. Who's the one on the right, guys?
Khoisan.
She's a bush woman.
Okay, so she's like Khoisan from South Africa. The Khoisan are one of the oldest people in Africa, if not the oldest. The Khoisan, as you can see, are very Asian-like looking and light-skinned. So I'm showing you who's the African in this picture, but your mind, the spell you got in your mind will block it out, and you're just gonna assume if I was to show you this on a different day, you would have said that's a Chinese and that's or a Mongol and that's an African, and that would be totally wrong. All right, the Khoisan, that's what they look like. So
hey, before you pass on to the next photos, let me also point out the fact that looking at that photo of her, the bush woman that you're just talking about, who are the most likely the oldest ethnic group in that continent of Africa. Look at, she doesn't even look like the typical African even by complexion, as hot as that continent is. So when they, so when Europeans try to make that manipulative point that people were placed in areas by region, by complexion, by the cold that region in the lighter, that's bullshit, man, about how light you are. That's bull crap, man.
Yep.
That's scientific jubber, as they call it.
All right, I'm gonna go to the next picture. So I hope people got that clear. Can I let the shock settle in and right? I know a lot of you right now are fighting it. I know deep down you're like, nah, that's an African, Kurimeo. Nah, Kurimeo, you don't know nothing, Kurimeo. Well, we'll see who's an African later on when I show you the video Copper Hotstep did many years ago. He tried to tell you guys, and you're still not listening. You're still not listening because it shows that you don't follow everybody in the community. It shows that you don't watch people's videos. It shows you're very uninformed, uneducated, and you don't care about real knowledge. You're just pushing a certain agenda. If you keep repeating the same things over and over, when the rest of us in this community know it's not true. You're looking bad, brothers. All right, so join the team. Stop being against the truth, you know? So we're gonna get to the next image. All right? So, hey, Kiowa, you mind hosting for a while so I can get somebody on here? Let me know when you need to go to the next picture. Do you remember these, right? You remember who they are, right?
Actually, no, I don't remember who they are.
I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat.
JC, you want to take a stab at it real quick?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So, you know, I'll be real.
So on the one on the left, who do y'all think that one on the left is?
Oh, okay. Now, the one on the left, I'm gonna say that the one on the left looks she looks Asian. So I'm gonna say she's Hmong or from that persuasion, she's from the Asian persuasion. And the one on the right, she looks kind of Egyptian. So I'm gonna say she's from the Arab bloodline.
All right. Well, Willie Cameron and Attorney Frollo got that right.
Okay, wait.
The one on the right is Berber.
Oh, okay.
And so what y'all think the one on the left is? Yeah, South American, leftist Cambodian, Thailand.
Khoisan,
there
maybe.
you go. Cricket got that one. That's another Khoisan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think they're finally getting it. I think they're they're guessing more correctly now.
Yeah, it's crazy because like all the way we're taught to look at people and look at things shows the biases that we were given.
So we got Radames Prince said the left is somebody's auntie from the projects. The right one is Kali, is Hindu goddess. And it's true, man. That's what I'm saying. Like she can easily, well, obviously she's a Khoisan, she's from Africa, but again, We got a black and white picture of her, right? Just like how she is here. Put some long hair on her, straight hair, long. All of a sudden, you're gonna call her a Mongol,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I'm saying. You generalize too much, man. Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Ain't no point in realizing, because that just, you're just trying to paint everybody in the broad picture, but then we turn around and say, don't paint us in the broad picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of sense does that really make? We're going to tell other people, don't tell us who we are, but then we're going to turn around and tell them who they are.
Yep. And so who's did anybody get the one on the right?
Yeah.
I said the one on the right looked like a Berber to me. A Eurasian or Berber.
Yeah, she's a Berber, and so I wanted to show in this image basically two Africans. You know, these are two Africans. And you would probably try to argue which one's older. These are one of the two oldest groups of indigenous people in Africa, the Khoisan and the Berbers of North Africa.
Real talk, real talk. That's true.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next image. This is a good. All right, so, all right, I'm gonna play this one. Which one is the American Indian?
Did you just ask which one's the American Indian?
Yep.
The one on the left.
Huh?
The one on the left.
On the left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and what does the chat say? Thank you, Edo. Camster Mail. Thank you. What does the chat say? Which one's the American Indian? Cricket said that's a Sephard. He's been watching my videos. Everybody's saying the one on the right. More, I think. Left is our people. Okay, Willie said left our people. We got more right. Both. Oh, we got both. All right, somebody's thinking outside the box here. Right. None of them.
Oh,
None of them.
Omek said one of them was photoshopped.
Who said? How dare you? What, you don't like the headdress or something? Which one is Photoshop? The one on the right?
No, he didn't say which one was photoshopped.
He's laughing at both of them.
Oh man, both. So they're both. So Kim said,
you know what? You be real about it though. I mean, if you look at my family, I got an uncle that's dark. You can place him probably in Ethiopia somewhere. But if you look at my mom and my mother, my brothers and my sisters, we all look like American Indians. But then if you go look at it, I got a sister, one sister. If you look at her, she looks like she belongs over there with the Mongoloid Indians. She's so light skinned and with her hair and her light skin, you can place her over there with the and she's not. So
okay.
It's a multicolored, multi-featured people, man. And you know what? It was like that before colonization. I mean, I've read
Absolutely.
I've read the Spanish writings, man. Their histories. I mean, that's when they encountered the Aztecs or the Peruvians and the Incas. They were multicolored people, man. Multicolored, multi-featured, multi-complected people. That's my point.
I'm glad you brought that up. Can I say something real quick, Kurimeo?
Go ahead, bro.
Appreciate it. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of us, if we look into our, our own families, again, just like JC was saying, we range in all the spectrums of copper from the lightest to the light to the darkest of the dark. And, my grandmother and my mother's mom, you wouldn't be able to tell we're related. You guys have seen my complexion. I'm a little bit darker brown than, my grandma was really, really light skinned and would be considered, I guess a Mongol.
That high yellow.
Yeah, exactly. Like really light
Or
skinned.
mulatto. Right?
Or mulatto. Yeah, absolutely.
My father, is very light skinned. Brother Kurimeo, my father's almost your complexion, Brother Kurimeo, my father. And my father, when he kept his hair cut short, right? His hair would lay flat and it would look nice and wavy and pretty. And he had a reddish tint to his hair. My father's father, my grandfather, my father's father, freckles with red hair. But yet, My father's side of the family, Cherokee blood. They all Cherokee. My great grandmother sat up in the bed, had to sleep in her own room, slept in her bed Indian style. Everybody in the family wondered why she always slept that way. She would sleep in the bed, sitting straight up with her legs crossed. My wife came up with the idea, because nobody had an answer. She would never tell nobody why she slept that way. That maybe because during the times of the early 1900s, late 1900s, that because white people would come and raid the communities. They would take children, rape kids, and stuff like that. And so, and kill Indians, kill the Indians. And so it probably was a habit of the women that would guard the children sitting up, with the intention not to sleep, of course, but fall asleep sitting up, wrapped up in their blanket like an Indian. Yep. And so that's why found out my great-great-grandmother slept like that all the time, slept in a separate room. So just wanted to point that out. There's a lot of difference, like you said, but as far as the features and the colors and stuff like that, in my family, just like I'm pretty sure everybody else's family, range from very, very light, almost white, to yellow, to light brown, to brown, to reddish brown, to caramel brown, and to dark brown in my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, light. We range from light as almost light as white to dark as night.
Mind you, with no white folks, no white blood, I got no white relatives. So when somebody always tries to say, oh, because you got some white, no, I ain't got no white relatives. Matter of fact, my wife is half Cherokee, and she's half white. Her mother and her father, her mother's white. Her father is considered a black man, but of course he's Cherokee. And my wife got a book on her family tree on her father's side of the family, so she know that her father is Cherokee, and her grandmother was on the soul, even though it doesn't matter, was on the Dawes Rose list. So she's a registered literal Indian. So my wife is half Cherokee and half white. So in my family, it's the first time of an introduction of white blood being brought into my family, because I have 3 sons by my wife. You feel me? And so that's white. So they're a quarter of white and the rest of Indian. Because on my family is nothing but Indians in my family. From my mother, my grandmother, great grandmother, my father, my grandfather, nothing but Indians in my family. And I've checked my family tree all the way up to 1850 so far, and I'm still researching. I ain't found nothing but Indians. Ain't nobody screwing nobody from Europe. No white man, no white master, no Scottish, none of that. No. So,
all right.
we got to be, like you said, America was a multicolored, multi-featured country before Europeans got here. The only color that was absent from the scene was pale, and that's why our ancestors left us with that saying. They called the white man what? Pale face, because there were no pale Indians here. No matter how light that Indian was, that Indian did not look like a snowball.
Yep. I'm gonna add that even when they came, it stayed very diverse. And I want to show that. That's what, well, I'm just saying, even when they're Europeans, see, I don't say white or black. This is what I'm trying to.
That's true. That's true. Even the Europeans came here diverse. That's true.
Colonizers.
Yeah, the colonizers came here diverse, from dark to mixed to white. That's true. Real talk.
Yeah, we melt in these crayons, as Rod Jeweler said. Much love. I knew why ain't you in the panel, man. I know you're busy. Don't worry, man. Just kidding. So I'm gonna go to the next image. All right. We're gonna play again.
Oh yeah, hold on. You gotta tell them who the one on the right is.
Yeah.
Oh, on the right. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, y'all starting to get me here, because I'm looking at both these people, and I'm seeing indigenous people from America.
I'm glad you said that.
From the Americas.
I'm glad you said that, because
y'all might get a brother with an uppercut and catch me on the low, and I don't know what's going on. Y'all might catch me and I might not know what's going on. So.
Well, I'm glad you're being honest, and I'm glad you're seeing the point of the experiment, right? That now we got to really reconsider what we think people are based on appearance. Okay, and so we're gonna talk about the one on the right. Let's see if anybody guesses who the one on the right is.
I don't know. I like to get to know.
She is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody said that's an African on the right. But she got straight hair. What do you mean?
Yeah, she is. That's what I'm thinking too.
She ain't got no nigga naps.
Yeah. But how do you explain the hair, Kurimeo?
He said she ain't got no nigga naps. But you got over here, you got indigenous brothers and sisters over here with nigga naps.
So we got Jissa again. He's very knowledgeable. You guys are sleeping on Jizza. If you speak, yeah, for real, sleeping on Jizza. And if you guys know French, especially, don't miss out on his presentations and what he's got coming up. Check out his channel and what he does. So he's right. She's a Tuareg. She's you know, of the Tuareg people, and that's how they look in Africa. So she Mongol because she got straight hair. She's
You gotta get that Tuareg and take a trip.
There's one thing I forgot to mention. Hey, we didn't finish with this. Hold up. We're gonna go back. I forgot.
We did.
So, okay. So the answer was, sorry, I'm going back to this, guys. The answer was that neither of these guys are American Indians.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
Now that you guys know that, tell me what they are.
Ooh.
Well, if
I'm
they're
gonna
not
say
American
another
Indians,
Khoisan.
they're fakes. They're
Everything
they're
changed.
fakes.
Oh, they're fakes now? They don't exist?
You just said they're not American Indians. If they're not American Indians, they have
Well,
to be
earlier you said you were so sure. earlier.
Mongoloid. They neither one of them look Mongoloid.
Well, some people would argue that with you.
Well, could you argue with the one on the right? Because the other one on the right, I don't mean I got cousins that look like him.
I know you do.
Ain't no Mongoloid in my bloodline.
I know the ones who argue it have cousins like that too. That's the thing. That's the ignorance, man. Yo, FR, much love, brother. I'm glad you're here, bro. And
One of my sons, I got 7 sons. Y'all might not know. I'm telling you, I got 7 sons. I have 7 sons and 2 daughters. And all my kids are grown with the exception I got 3 left at home. One is, well, out of the 3, out of the 3 that's left at home, one is on his way out. He just graduated from high school. But check out, one of my sons married a Japanese. Now, so I got 2 grandsons that are mixed with Indian and Japanese. But now, when you look at them, when you look at my grandchildren, the one on the right look closer to my grandkids.
I'll tell you straight up, like I've seen American indigenous people, or what you call an African American, right, look like both of these individuals. And that's, to me, yeah. What do you mean? The one on the left, to me, I've seen Aborigines like that from here, man.
Real talk. Real talk.
Go to the East Coast tribes. Go to the, Northeast. I'm
gonna be honest. When I first saw the photo, I thought I saw the brother, in my hood on the corner, asking for $1.
All right. So, are you guys ready to know who they are?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna start with the one on the left. The one on the left is from Egypt. He's an Egyptian. He's an actual Egyptian, not ancient. Not Tamari. I'm talking about an Egyptian from the country, the Republic of Egypt today.
Wow.
Okay. The one on the right, nobody noticed. No, I didn't hear nobody say it. That's Mandela's son.
Yup.
What?
That's Mandela's son.
No. Are you kidding?
He's Khoisan.
What?
Say what? Can I get DJ? I wish DJ Gambler was in here so he can do the pull up.
Right? Yo, Gambler, where you at?
Wow.
All right. So that's Mandela's son or grandson. I think his son, right?
Oh,
might be his grandson. Might be his grandson.
His grandson, I think it is.
It must be his grandson because he's a little young. He's still young, very young. But yeah, look him up. Mandela's grandson right now, if you like. And the one on the left is Egyptian. So yeah, basically the subliminal Photoshop I did tricked all of you guys, and then it just threw you all off.
Real talk.
And this is the power of propaganda and media, advertisement. What they do to us when we Google Native American or American Indian, and they throw us these images, what they want us to imagine. Same thing. I did the same thing to you, and you guys fell for it. And I did it on purpose. And you know how long? Ask Kyo how long I've had these images, man.
This is what, like 4 months now at the least.
More than that, man. And I've been wanting to do a thing on this, but I always think that there's always a time for everything. I just go with the flow, and I try to see if people can reason without me having to do videos like this. Just go off the information that I'm showing. But it sucks that I do have to do videos like this, but it's fun too at the same time. But I hope you're listening right now to all the hijacks out there, all the Pan-Africans, all that stuff. Even the pale-skinned people who judge, you know, all the so-called Black Lives Matter people calling themselves crayon colors right now. I hope you guys are watching. You know, share this video, hit like, make sure you share this with everybody. This gotta go around. Not because I want views. You don't get it twisted. I'm not here for views. I'm not here to make money. I'm not a Nostradamus. I never said I'm gonna make a YouTube channel and be successful, make mad money. I was hoping somebody heard me, and the real ones heard me. All right, and you here. Thank you. So I'm gonna go to the next image again. And so we got her, Tuareg. Who's the guy on the left?
I'm done. I'm done.
You're done.
I'm not gonna say anything because right now, like you said, you got me tripped up a couple times. You got me tripped, and this one right here, you had me tripped up too. So I'm gonna leave this one alone.
He's the dinker.
Anybody? Who's this chat say? See, the chat is all quiet now. Everybody's quiet now.
Don't be scared.
Hey, everybody had an opinion right away in the first image. GM, I mean, it sucks that I have to kind of force people to like, you know, like I'm talking to, you know, like first graders, second graders. Honestly, I'm not trying to diss everybody because I know a lot of you are informed. You already know this.
Mr. Dark Fly, brother, come on, take
this out. So we know, like you said, phenotype is always confusion. So why do we generalize if it is confusing? If we know that it's confusing, let's not confuse ourselves by generalizing and assuming and misclassifying people and saying who they are when you don't even know their genealogy. How you gonna say somebody's something?
Exactly,
You don't even know them.
We got to break the hijacks, man. We got to get out of this old school thinking and you know, clear our minds of the nonsense.
Yeah, and when like you said, I've never met a black person in my life, and he's 100% correct.
Hey, even that one Andaman Island person, they still weren't black, even though how dark they were.
No,
Yeah.
dark brown. Very dark brown.
Dark brown.
I'm just, you know, I think I'm
bronze.
the oldest
That's really dark
person.
bronze right there.
I think I'm the oldest person sitting on this panel, and so I just like to say that it's a beautiful thing to sit amongst brothers who realize that what really matters and what we really should be speaking, what people should be speaking to, rather than speaking to what they seeing on the outside, is speaking by asking an individual what culture they come from. Because what was destroyed over here is culture amongst those who at one time lived their culture, spoke their culture, and walked their culture, which is our Amerindian ancestors. As a result, today we got a bunch of people who are claiming everything but who they really are. They claiming African, they claiming Buddhism, they claiming all types of religious identities. They claiming all types of things other than who they really are. So what makes me feel good is sit here to listen to you guys talk about, and you're not saying it, but you're saying it at the same time. Because the bottom line, what you're saying is that what we should be speaking to when it comes to people, instead of speaking about, oh, that must be a person of African descent, when we should be asking them, what culture are you from? Because everybody come from different cultures, no matter what they look like.
Exactly. So, you know, we're going to continue with the experiments. Not a lot of more images, but we're almost done. I think by now you guys are more careful and you might. Oh, that's
Why you on eggshells right
funny.
now?
Listen. When I was making these images, I think Kiowa and they were in the back chat with me when I was doing this. We were in the hangouts, and we were just dying. We were cracking up. Like, we couldn't stop laughing. Like this is gonna be so good. Like, people's gonna be so off.
Yeah.
People's gonna judge, be judgmental, stereotype, be prejudiced, even if they don't realize it. And I know you don't do that. You're not trying to. But you gotta understand what you do on a daily basis. You do it, and it's not your fault. They indoctrinated us to do that, to think complexion, appearance, and all that. So, who wants to guess this one?
Ooh.
At the panel. Let's see if anybody on the, now that they know, all right. Let's see if the chat. Let's see if the chat can guess. Let's start with the one on the right. The one on the right. Chat, tell me who that is. All right, yeah, nobody's answering. Caribbean, we got one. South African, yep.
Australian, Khoisan.
We got a China, Mark Jehudi. I don't know if Mark was here earlier. We got China. All right, so the one on the right is African. She's actually one of the oldest African people in Africa. The Khoisan people. The Khoisan are light-skinned and Asian-looking. And they're one of the oldest Aboriginal tribes of Africa.
Let me respond to that. Booyah to all you Pan-Africans.
Yeah. So Garfield, if you're watching Garfield and all his followers, let's say Nader and all these people, you're an African, then you must be related to this person. Right?
Yeah, there's
oh no, they only want to be linked to the pyramids. Oh, I get it. Okay.
She's probably Winnie Mandela's niece, the one on the right.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. When it comes to Pan-Africanism, for some reason, everybody in Pan-Africanism is linked to the Egyptians. I mean, I just did not know that all the tribes in Africa was connected to the Egyptians. What? That's a total lie. They know better than that. What the hell? How you going? Really? You had many tribes that had nothing to do with the so-called Egyptian empire.
So if we follow the official story, right? First of all, they tell us it was West Africans that were taken, not Nubians, not South Africans, not East Africans, West Africans, and they try to give us the specific spots, and they try to create fake doors of no returns, which was never a door or even a slave port. It was a mansion in Senegal. We've already read out the information. This is anybody can research this. Jisa, let him know, Jisa. He's been there. He's been in Senegal. He knows the local stories. All right, and I'm gonna show you a video later on, and we're gonna probably read the article again later on. All right. So the one on the left, what do we think? What are we thinking?
I'm gonna leave this alone because you guys all know what I believe.
She looked like she's straight out of Mississippi.
An indigenous sister, southeastern indigenous aboriginal sister. Y'all know this.
Look at that hair.
But Kurimeo, what about the hair, Kurimeo?
Her.
All right, so she's also of Africa, the Tuareg people.
She's a Tuareg?
I'm done. I give up. I'm done.
All right, so we got two Africans right here.
Hold on, so she's an original Moor.
That's original. That's a real. That's more closely. When you're talking about more modern day, what they want to, after the Berbers, who were originally called, these are the Moors that did, after that, the dark-skinned ones that started, because they are mixed. The Tuareg, if you do the history, they'll tell you they, some kind of Arab Muslim mixture there, and so yes, these are the ones that would be considered more today now. Yeah. So I'm gonna continue. All right. I think we're so smart now to know better. Anybody want to take a crack at this one?
Maybe Berbers on the right.
Yeah, we got Berbers on the right. Correct. And again, indigenous people of Africa, and again,
got makeup on.
Yeah, of course. You can see
they're practicing whiteface.
Whiteface. Yep.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep. So we got a Berber, and the one on the left is not Khoisan. It's that African tribe that I told you earlier. East Africa.
Was it Denkari?
I told you guys.
Yeah, it was with a D, I believe.
Throwing up my white flag. I got nothing. I'm done. I can't say nothing no more.
So these are two Africans. These are African people right here. Indigenous African. Don't tell me they're mixed. Again, you want to say they're mixed? Show me their genealogy. Go to them. Show me their history. You're such an expert on it. On their personal family genealogy. their lineage, their heritage. Did you even know that the Libyans came from Georgia? Off the Caucasus.
You mean Georgia, like Rome, Georgia, like down here in the South?
We're talking about, well, the Caucasus, there's a Georgia country. And I believe the ancient real Georgia was Georgia, Atlanta. And we're very close to proving that. Trust me.
Yeah.
Well, brother Kurimeo, I already told you, you got me I got tied a white flag to my talking stick. You done did it for me. I ain't judging these people no more by color and features. I'm done. I'm just sitting here learning from you.
Thank you, man. I hope everybody in the chat does the same from now on. I hope even if you still doubt it, I hope at least you reconsider what I'm saying, to not judge right away and try to see, because we're about to show you some more info. This is just the beginning. We just started, all right? I just wanted to start with these images, and I don't have no more. I could have made a whole lot more. Oh, actually, so now we're gonna get into what I was saying earlier about the Andaman Islanders, okay? So please let me know if you can hear this, all right? So a big shout out to the Arawak chat. This is episode 4, the Lacono Empire, Copper Hot Step, and the ICCC, it says right here. All right, these brothers are great. I also have a group with them. We're trying to get together and build, you know, and do something in the West Indies, here in Central America, South America, you know, because, see, a lot of people also would say, and I'm talking about the same person, everybody knows what I'm talking about, that always talking about Mongols and Mexicans. He'll say, hey, Kurimeo, why don't you, or he won't say my name, but he'll say, hey, why don't you just stick to your people? Don't talk about the North American Indians. Hey, don't talk about North American Indians if you're not here. But that same person always talking about Mayas, Incas, everything. He's not from Peru. He's not from Mexico. He's not from any of those places. All right. So what is the difference? So I'm teaching people about history. Has nothing to do with who I am. Has nothing to do with where I was born. If I'm a history professor, I'm a history professor. If you got skills in nutrition, you got skills in nutrition. And nobody's gonna dog that out of you. All right. This is what I do. This is what I do. And I try to, like, you know, I try to debate with sources. I try to debate with real history. I don't try to get on nobody's piano so we can just start screaming at each other and just keep asking for money while we're debating and while we're cussing out other people, and then you hit, you know, swearing and all that, and then you say hit the like, you know. To me, that's just weird. I don't know. I hope everybody wakes up. Like that's just not normal to me.
Well,
that's
also,
just not normal.
You know, bro, there's a lot, you know, there's pimps out there too. You got, come on, and they hiding. You got agents and pimps out there, you know, and they hating on what you're doing because you dropping the real. You educating the people. You feel me? Or, I don't know, maybe they feel like you pulling numbers from them. I don't know, but that's not your intention, because if that's their intention, that they need to keep doing what they're doing and leave you alone, because you're trying to educate the people. You feel me?
There's a lot of brothers that pull numbers from me, but that's not their fault. That's their information. And what I do a friendly competition. I was like, okay, I got to catch up to this brother. I got to put in some better videos. I got to do some other things so I can get views, so I can get people watching my videos and sharing it. You know what I mean? And joining the live. All right? And that's all I'm saying. You know, that's all I'm saying. And I want to start this video now again. All right, Andaman Islanders. So you think they're African still, right? All right, let's watch this. Hold on.
And I'm going to Google images.
Can you hear it?
Good old Google. I mean, Google.
I want to show.
Can you guys hear?
Oh,
Yeah, I can hear fine.
Chat, can you guys hear? Can I get a 1? Can I get a 1 if you heard the video?
For you a picture. Andaman Islanders.
there you go.
For a reason.
Okay.
All right. So these are the Andaman Islanders. So this would be, you know, over in Asia, what's considered Asia, East India, that region of the world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So take a good look. These are what the people look like. So from an eye perspective, these people, where would they be considered to originate from? Anybody?
Africa?
Gambler? if you had to, yeah,
I'm gonna say they look kind of Aborigine.
if somebody came across these people and looked at them, where would they say they're from?
I'm gonna say Australia.
Well, you know exactly where they say the typical answer.
So these people would just be, run-of-the-mill Africans. Yeah, that's an African.
Yeah.
They left Africa and they ended up in the Andaman Islands. Well, we'll come back to this picture again. So here I have the genetic origins of the Andaman Islanders. Okay. So again, this is genetic research done on the people of the Andaman Islands. So again, look, they're talking about these people's genes. They've run tests on these people's genetics, and they're going to tell you what they found out. Mitochondrial sequences were retrieved from museum specimens of the enigmatic Andaman Islanders to analyze their evolutionary history. D-loop and protein coding data reveal that phenotypic similarities with African pygmoid groups are convergent. Genetic and epigenetic data are interpreted as favoring the long-term isolation of the Andamanese extensive population substructure and or two temporally distinct settlements. An early colonization featured populations bearing mitochondrial DNA lineage M2, and this lineage is hypothesized to represent the phylogenetic signal of an early southern movement of humans through Asia. The results demonstrate that Victorian anthropological collections can be used to study extinct or seriously admixed populations to provide new data about early human origins. So I'm just going to warn people now, if you go and look at this in your own time, you're going to see a lot of jargon, a lot of scientific blah blah, okay? So I'm not wearing a white lab coat right now. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just going to get to the necessary part of this. So remember, this is to do with their genetics, their DNA, okay? This is to do with where they originate from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to make this nice and highlighted for everybody so they can see. Okay, so the protein coding region sequences produce clear results with no ambiguities. So that means it was conclusive and showed that all 12 specimens possessed 10400T and 10398G, placing them in the Asian N haplogroup and ruling out an African origin.
Bam.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Whoa.
Let them know, Copper Hot Step.
So again, I'll go back to the picture. This is what the people of the Andaman Islands look like. This is what they look like. The Andaman Islands is in so-called Asia. So again, they said the protein coding region sequences produce clear results with no ambiguities and showed that all 12 specimens possessed 10400T and 10398G, placing them in the Asian M haplogroup and ruling out an African origin. These people are not Africans. They just ran genetic testing on them and said that they belong to an Asian haplogroup.
Exactly.
They don't come from Africa. So I need to understand, what ancestry tests are you doing? What is African DNA? What is that?
Facts.
If these people look like this and they don't have African blood in their system through the same genetic testing which you spit in a tube to do, what test are you doing?
Exactly. Well said, Copper.
They told you their own words. They've done genetic research on these so-called Africans, and these people are not Africans. According to them, they are Asians.
Mm-hmm.
So what? I don't know. Are they wrong? Did they not do the test properly? Of course not. Because these are the original Asians, Asiatics. So now you have to ask yourself, if these people look like Africans and they're not Africans, what are the people you're referred to as Africans in East, South, and West Africa? What are they? Where do they come from? Remember, we just went through that. Through oral history, and trace themselves back to Hindustan. They could trace themselves back to Asia, the Middle East. So what is an African?
That's just a made-up name.
Isn't it?
It's a made-up name, bro. That's what it is. It's a made-up name.
Yeah.
So yeah, people just gotta stop, man. Look, they've done their own paper on this stuff and found that Africans aren't African. So how are you from there if the Africans aren't either?
Enough said.
Exactly.
ABC 1, 2, 3. This is just steps, man.
Baby steps.
This is easy. Like,
All right, so that's the Arawak crew there representing all the way from the UK, Copper Hotstep, and we got Lacono Empire, and we got TJ Gamble up in there as well, I believe, somebody else. They're getting it down, and this is a throwback, but this is a lot of good info here. We got to remember, we got to dodge the hijack when we think about what we think of an African and what we think of people, or races. We don't really understand that, so, like these people, like he said, they look, very, African. Anybody would say, but they're not. All right.
All right. So we got Cooley in the house. Cooley just came in the house. He just got here. Let's not go too hard on him. He said Africa's the motherland when we just showed a video proving that these Andaman Islanders are not African. All right. So maybe you just missed the presentation. You just got here. But we ain't gonna have none of that hijack. If you don't want to learn, I got a lot of moderators here ready to pull out the hijacks. Like I said in the beginning of the video, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing this anymore. No Pan-Africans, no people being prejudiced, talking about people look like Mongols, none of that. People basing on appearance, none of that. You must have missed the whole presentation. So make sure that when this is done, start in the beginning and watch the whole thing, and before you keep commenting. All right, so we're gonna continue. I want to actually, do you guys have any opinions of that? The panel, can you please share with what do you guys think about that?
As far as what is like the DNA and all that?
No, just about you. Look, I mean, this is for me when I first heard this. This is 2018. I was like, wow. I was there on the live that day. I was like, wow. All right, and did anybody watch that? Did this get any hype? No, nobody really paid attention, even though they, this video, I'm going to reshare because I had reshared it back then. I'm going to reshare it. People don't, they're just stuck on their own, what they think is knowledge.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to come out of their paradigm. It's like they're scared to see what's on the other side.
Yeah, and that's why I say you got to see like a dragon. Dragon means, etymology of dragon means seeing clearly. It's 2020. There's a reason why they made this 2020.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. What I got out of it. Watching it, what I got out of it, it just showed me how the Eurocentric hijack, what I like to call it, and what they've been doing. I mean, it's done over here in North America a long time ago. Number one, you hijack people's identity, you hijack people's culture, you move them around on their own land like checkerboards, and even outside their land boundary, like I said, that coastal slavery that was going on back then. And as a result of that, then you take their children and keep them for 2 and 3 generations in an encaged Eurocentric oppression and enslavement psychological condition of amnesia. And then in the process of that, what you're doing is you're just basically destroying a culture. And when you destroy a culture, you can basically label and name and reclassify that culture whatever you want.
Exactly. Kill the Indian, save the man. What they mean by that is kill their ways and transform them into their way. And they've done one hell of a job with that.
Real talk. You said it right there in a nutshell. Real talk, and that's what they've done. They try to. I mean, I did a podcast a few years ago on a radio broadcast I used to do, and it was basically I was showing what they were doing in Australia. Right now in Australia, even though the Aborigines of Australia know who they are, because the white Australians have interwoven themselves in a lot of the people of the indigenous people. You got white people over there claiming indigenous Aboriginal status. Because now that the Aborigines, the melanated Aborigines today, the indigenous Aborigines today are getting government money payback for what the white Australians did to them or well, let's say the colonizers, the European, Australian colonizers that came over there, and how they oppressed those indigenous people. So, well, today, if you forward it all the way today they're getting a lot of economic payback for that, and as a result, you got a lot of white people claiming, because they got a great same thing that they're doing over here, they doing over there. They're trying to hijack over there because they got one great grandparent that's an indigenous Australian or an indigenous Aboriginal over there. They trying to claim Aboriginal identity, and you can't do that. You can't do, because you got one grandparent or one great grand. You know, everybody else in your family look like they're from Europe. Man, get out of here with that, man. Get out of here with that, man.
And that's the crazy thing too, right? And like you said,
well, and it's not the color. It's not really the color that I'm focusing on. I mean, it just happens that a lot of time color do take you to a person's locality, and it happens that white people are the aliens of this planet, to put it raw and uncut, because this planet is mostly indigenously melanated. And like I say, it doesn't matter how light the melanation, as long as that melanation is not absent of melanation, which makes it Snow White. And we know Snow White is not indigenous.
Yeah.
Well, not really. I mean, maybe in Africa.
Yeah, she's cousin to the what do they call him? The Monocoli, that one-eyed monster on that map.
Well, yeah, I mean, let me know. I get to talk and take. I don't want to try to take over my brother's broadcast, Brother Kurimeo. Hey, stop me anytime I talk too much.
That was good. Just getting the next video ready. I just want to show sign that I've shown before. It's one of my videos. Basically the DNA video, the Ancestry DNA test kit video I did. Okay, and if you haven't watched it, if you're new to my channel, after today, if you still believe in DNA test, and you're like, but DNA said, but Kurimeo, my DNA said I'm Cameroon, I'm from Ivory Coast. Like, well, you're in for a big surprise if you're not surprised enough yet.
Yeah, right? Before you start that, right? You know what's so ironic? When you first dropped this video, the commercials that were on there were from Ancestry.com.
Yep. Every ad was Ancestry.com. $59.99 too. You know?
Wow.
So you can know your tribe for $59.99 if you have the money.
You cause them to have a sale.
Yeah, you gotta pay for it. You want to know your tribe, you gotta pay for it.
That is the biggest bushwhack that they've sold the populace, and they gotten away with, because they have a contract with the federal government where they cannot be sued, and the government is not suing them, because the government is in the bed with the DNA company. When it comes to this, but if you actually go read the fine print, they tell you in the fine print, and from 23andMe, from Ancestry.com to doesn't matter, FamilyTree.com, it doesn't matter. They tell you, if you read the fine print, it's for entertainment purposes only.
Not even just that, yo, bro. When you read those things, like me and the brother knew, we was digging on that one day, and you read that, like, they actually have you, like, basically give them access to your computer. Like, not full access, but enough access to where they can try and manipulate things, because they're going to use information that you use on your media websites and all that to try and figure out who you're related to. So it really has nothing to do with the actual test. It comes with them getting access to your information.
True. But they are the DNA thing is a straight manipulation. If you do the research behind it, you find out it's based on algorithms, which is basically a form of math. Nothing is precise. None of the stuff and not only that, they tell you straight up, they can't tell you what tribe you come from. The only thing they can do is maternal and paternal tests. Paternal means they can tell you who your father is. Maternal, they can tell you who your mother is. And yes, as a result of maternal, which is mitochondrial DNA, they can tell you and go and tell you who your grandmama is, who your aunties are, and tell you who the females are in your family through your mitochondrial DNA. But they're only going to go as far as they can, as depending on how much money you got. And ain't nobody got that type of money to find out how many female relatives they got in their family. But to find out as far as your tribe, they got to go dig up ancient bones and then take that DNA from those bones, if they can recover any DNA from ancient bones, and compare. It ain't gonna happen. It's too expensive. So basically, the populace is being hoodwinked. If they just go do a little research and find out themselves, they're being hoodwinked.
And a lot of these companies claim to go back 2,000 years with their but
that's a lie. If any company saying that's a lie.
It's not even possible.
No, there's
Like
no
they want to
point.
sit there and use these different DNAs, this, that, and third. It's like, yo, you can only go back at the best 5 generations.
Yep,
Because I've
that's
seen
it.
where literally you could, on your DNA test, you could be related to your first cousin, completely miss your third cousin, be related to your 7th cousin, or even miss your first cousin and be related to your 5th cousin. So it's
Real
all but
talk.
just guesswork.
Well, none of that. They don't tell you the legalities of the DNA thing that's going on,
Oh,
because
yeah,
you have a lot
like
of
linked up with the police.
well, there's a lot of indigenous tribes that are not in the DNA system because by law, sovereignty the tribes don't have to be in the system. So there's tribal law and there's federal law where the DNA companies only can go so far, even when it comes to like claiming they got all this DNA in their systems to match your DNA against. That's a total lie. They're not even telling the total truth. Sovereignty, when it comes to the indigenous nations, they're not even allowed to participate in a government program like that. So there, you go look that up, you find out there's truth in that. And then when you go find out as well is that when it comes to the DNA companies, when they take your DNA, a lot of them are manipulating the populace to get their DNA so they can use your DNA in future studies of whatever they want to use. The good example, the Henrietta, that
Henrietta
sister.
Lacks.
Yes, what they did to her DNA.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a hoax, man. It's a hoax. The DNA thing is a hoax, man. Much as the
Definitely.
DNA thing can be used for, is just a paper trail.
Yep. So in this video, if anybody hasn't watched it, we basically expose all that. It's really a joke. They sent dogs DNA and they got back results, Native American results. You know, it's a whole game. The scientists are telling you it's entertainment only. It's not real science. They laugh about it and everything. They're like laughing throughout this whole video, all the scientists. Right?
Shout out to Snoopy.
Yeah, shout out to
Real talk.
shout out to Snoopy. Snoopy is actually one of the dogs that they use DNA for. This is the story. I'm not gonna show because it's long, but basically, he knew there were people using ancestry DNA tests to get into tribes, because the ancestry DNA test will come back saying, "Oh yeah, you're 20% Abenaki Indian, right?" So he's like, "Oh really?" He knew it was fake. He knew these people weren't. So he sent his dog's DNA. He sent in his dog's DNA, and it came back 25% something Abenaki. So so according to the results, he's more Indian than all of us.
The dog?
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah.
Pit bull?
That's
Was it a
Snoopy.
pit bull or a German Shepherd?
No, it was a little dog, right?
Yeah, I saw that. What you're talking about, I saw that that article on the internet, and that it had me rolling. I saw that about the guy white. I think he looked like a white man to me who sent in his DNA.
Yeah, it was his dog.
Found out,
and
you know,
yep. And so then he got accepted into the tribe, and now he's the chief. No sir. He goes to all the powwows. He'd be like, pow wow, pow wow. All right.
Yeah, his assistant chief is that poodle who got 5% DNA.
Yeah, 5%. You know, she also paid a little to get in. She's like, come on, let me in.
She's a 5%.
Wow.
She's like, I'm related to Pocahontas too. So I'm gonna play this because we're laughing, right? So this guy is the guy who went around doing all the famous so-called African Americans ancestry DNA thing and giving them the results live, and so the whole nation can watch this hijack. So this guy, for me, straight up, I don't respect this guy. He's a straight up, you know, I'm not even gonna say it. That's a pure hijack. He knows it. He loves it. He loves it. He laughs all the time. He makes fun of us. He's gonna make fun of us right now, but not us because we're informed. But you know, so I'm gonna play this part of the video, and you guys are gonna know who he is. Let me know if you hear the sound.
It's not accurate. Estimate, that's what experts tell us.
Can you hear the sound?
Oh,
Yeah, everything sounds good.
Sound great.
Okay.
Are you surprised? It's like I wanted to do it.
In the year 2000, a young black geneticist named Dr. Rick Kittles, who at the time was teaching at Howard University, sent me a letter. He's now at the University of Chicago Medical School. And he said that he was asking various African-American men if they would submit themselves to this new test. And through this test, he could trace on your mother's line where in Africa you were from. man, that was some serious stuff. And I said, yeah, I mean, I called him right away, and I said, definitely. And he said that of all the people he'd written to, nobody was writing him back. And I couldn't figure out why, but I later found out why. So I said, would you want me to come to Washington? He goes, no, I'll come up to Harvard Square. It's where I was living. So about a week later, he showed up. And now, I've had many operations. I broke my hip when I was playing football when I was about 14. It was misdiagnosed by country doctors. So I've had a zillion operations on my leg, right? So I know about having blood extracted. If you could see my veins is, just look at a vial and blood pours out, right? I'm very easy to get my blood. Well, after half an hour, I realized that two things, that Dr. Rick Kittles is a brilliant geneticist, but he's not brilliant at extracting blood. I also realized why no other black male was stupid enough to let him come up to try to take their blood. Because that brother kept poking around, and I thought, damn, this Kunta Kinte stuff is hard work. How badly do I want to know where I'm from in Africa? But I really wanted to know. I'd wanted to know since I was 9 years old, so, you know, let's go for it. So finally, see, at the time, you had to extract a lot of DNA in order to run the test. Now, you just swab your cheek or spit in the test tube, depending on the company that you use. We could talk about that a little bit later. So it's very easy and it's very painless. So I waited and I waited and I waited. You know, Rick Kittles went back to Washington. I waited for the result. And I didn't hear from him. So finally, I called him. And you know how people do. He picked up the phone after I called him about 1 million times. He goes, oh, man, I was just about to return your phone call. I said, Rick, what's up, man? Where am I from? In Africa. Where are my people? You know, I want to jump on a plane and go. I thought I'd buy some land, you know, get a fine little African sister, you know, to hook up. I was single at the time, don't get me wrong. I'm still single. Well, so he said, well, we had to run, your results were anomalous, and we had to run them many times. But we finally have figured out where you're from. You are descended on your mother's side from the Nubian people. Now, all African Americans, not all African Americans, but many African Americans want to be descended from one or two ethnic groups. Either the Zulu, because the Chaka Zulu, and the Zulu kicked the English in the behind in the Boer Wars, right? Until they finally were overcome. But you want to be Zulu, or you want to be Nubian. Who were the Nubians? The Nubians were the black pharaohs, right? The Nubians are in the Bible. The 25th dynasty was the Nubian dynasty. In Egyptian art, they always hated the Nubians. Nubians are always represented as darker. You know, they were warring kingdoms. And Nubia ran from what today's Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, up to the Aswan Dam, the second cataract in the Nile River. And so a Nubian, and all these people wanted to be Nubians, descended from the black pharaohs. So my friend Molefi Asante, you know, the founder of Afrocentricity, we argued a lot in public, but we're very good friends privately. I joke, every time he attacks me, I get a raise at Harvard, so it's cool. So I attack him. You know, we do what Malcolm and Martin couldn't do. You know, set it up, and then we go split the money and slap five and go to Sylvia's, have fried chicken. Believe me, that's a much better way to function than hating each other. So I called Molefi first thing. I said, Molefi, I just got my results back. I am a Nubian. Where are you from? I am the true African prince. My friend Anthony Appiah, whose uncle was the Asantehene, the king of the Asante people. When Rick Kittle sent me a certificate announcing I was Nubian, Anthony Appiah looked at it and said, what a ton of rubbish. Now, why would he say that? Well, there's a slight problem with being either Zulu or Nubian if you're African American. You know what the problem is? None of our ancestors who came here in slavery came from South Africa, the Zulu people, or from Nubia. None, zero. Egypt is over here. The slaves came from the area from Senegal down to Angola. 97% of the slaves came from that region.
All right, so real quick, you see how he knows, right? That's why he's laughing. It's not that he's an idiot. Trust me, this guy, yeah, he'll play an idiot. But he's laughing at us, and he's subliminally telling us the truth. He's laughing at Rick Kittles. Like, he knows it's not real. But yet, what did he do? He did a whole program to hijack our minds, right? So, you know, this is how they do it. This is black magic. This is what they do. So, again, logical, right? Logical, right? Again, West Africa, Egypt, Zulus, they're not in West Africa. So how are you getting all that DNA in you? And people are just, you know, wanting to be Nubian and all that. We got people over there in Cairo, Americans in Cairo over there, like, you know, like that's even ancient Egypt. That's a whole nother thing. But, you know, it's a big hijack, right? You're not even, that there's no Nubian in, it's you know, West Africa, Nubia, two different places. All right, he told you right there. He's going to continue.
All right. So, you know how long it would take him to walk from Sudan to Senegal or to Angola? It just didn't happen. So I looked at Anthony and I said, "You're just jealous." Because I am a Nubian prince. I didn't care. I had it framed. I put it up in my living room so everybody could see that I was from royalty. So I didn't think about it. I thought maybe it was strange. Maybe it was on a trade route. You know, there were great Muslim trade routes. You know, today, this is important for the students. In my time, we were taught that the Africans were these benighted people, and they were too stupid to build a boat or to be curious about the world and cross the Sahara Desert. It was rubbish. Africans were just as curious as anybody else. The Sahara Desert was a highway. It wasn't a barrier. So I thought, well, and there were great trade routes. So I thought maybe my Nubian descendant had come over and ended up being tricked by some white man and ended up in Maryland or Virginia or something. So that was cool. And if I needed an interpretation, believe me, I could have produced one. So, and by the way, you know, the Zulu thing, when Oprah was finally in the first series, and we gave her a DNA test. Basically, the next day she went to South Africa to announce that she was opening what became the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. She was in an auditorium like 75,000 people or something, and she announced that she just had the test and that she was Zulu. So it broke on CNN. I was sitting in my living room minding my own business and said, Oprah Winfrey's a Zulu. So I called Rick Kittles, and I said, "Rick, did you tell Oprah she was a Zulu?" He goes, "No, man, she made that up herself." It's a true story. It's a true story. I would lie to make you laugh, but I'm telling you a true story. So I said, "Rick, are you in your lab?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Is anybody there?" He said, "No." I said, "When the results come in, make her Zulu, man." You know? I said, "You back there making it up anyway."
You back there making it up anyway, Rick Kittles. Make her a Zulu.
And you know what's funny, right? Because right after he says that, then he goes into this whole diatribe on everything positive about DNA. So he told you the truth in the very beginning, and then he just gave you a bunch of filler nonsense to go on, so that way you forget that truth that he just told you.
Yeah, so there, that's what I'm saying. This is what I was talking about. There's both sides right here, right? And
I also want to add to that. I found it quite odd how he had said that 97% of so-called African Americans are from Senegal, from this so-called region that he's still lying about. But the rest of Africa, no, they're not from over here. They're not from the Zulu. But they're from over here. So he just shifted his lie from. He's still lying.
Oh yeah. And later on in the video, he goes on to try and sit there and say that no African Americans actually have American Indian ancestry.
Yeah, that cracked me up too. That lie there. You know, I'm not sure if you've seen the one he did with Don Cheadle, the actor Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
Well, with the doctor, what cracked me up with that, he has one footage where he does DNA tests with him and claims that he's from some parts of Africa. Then he does a sit down with him where he does this paper trail where he finds out that Don Cheadle's grandparents are freedmen literally living on Indian reservation, and they were freedmen Indians living on an Indian reservation, and he had paperwork to prove this. So Don Cheadle knows he is indigenous, Chickasaw Indian, but with this DNA thing, he got one thing telling he's from African. And in the interview, I noticed they didn't talk about the DNA at all. They only talked about the paper trail. Okay.
Yeah.
They only talked about the paper trail. And in the paper trail, his grandparents, both on his mother and his father, his grandmother and his grandfather, both freedmen Indians from on the reservation. So it's like I say, that man, he's a total clown. Louis Gates is a clown. Literally, he's a clown.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys, what can DNA tell us?
I would say a parental, like your parents. What's it called?
Yeah,
you are the father.
Paternal. Yeah, paternal.
That's right.
Yeah. Maternal and paternal.
Living people. Living people.
Living people.
You know what it tells me? It tells me that you just wasted your money.
Facts.
Yeah, and you gave your DNA to the pharmaceutical companies. You're probably being cloned right now.
Better yet, they're gonna make a disease that can hit you directly because you know
they studied you.
You know, at this point, though, that's pretty much it. Doesn't matter. You don't even have to get a DNA test for them to do that. I mean, the system has total control over doctors. Come on, you got doctors selling this COVID-19 thing. If you talk to the average individual on the street, they'll tell you they don't know nobody with it or anybody who died from it. But there's a select few people who do. So, you know, and so like I said, when it comes to DNA testing, if the DNA companies really want everybody's DNA, they have full access through the government, through the doctors.
Yep. So, yeah, I want to continue with this. And so remember, he just told you that he just told Rick Kittles to just make it up. He's joking about it. Like we're picturing him joking on the phone with him. No, he was probably like, yo, Rick, you really got to make this up because she's over there buying land and shit. Like please. She's in our team. All right. So.
Nobody believe you could take some spit and figure out a tribe? What are you, crazy? Make her Zulu, man.
Tell him again. Tell him, Gates. Tell him.
I said, you back there making it up anyway.
Tell him, Gates.
Nobody believe you could take some spit and figure out a tribe? What are you, crazy? Nobody believe you could take some spit and figure out a tribe? What are you, crazy?
Nobody except these two geniuses.
Nobody believe you could take some spit and figure out a tribe? What are you, crazy?
Brother Washington, for your mitochondrial DNA, it's quite common among the Mende and Temne people in Sierra Leone.
Get it down. Get down. Tiki.